The UK, of course, marking 1 year since the first coronavirus lockdown was announced. On this day last year, Boris Johnson outlined measures to stop the spread of COVID-19. Since then, the UK's official death toll has risen to over 126,000. With the lockdown have come, of course, restrictions on socialising, closure of schools, pubs, shops, with many rules, of course. Most of those rules still in place. How has your life changed, though, in the last 12 months? Jon Craig is Chief Political Correspondent at Sky News. Afternoon to you, John.
Afternoon to you, Ian. Hello.
Good. Yeah, good to have you with us. I mean, you've been around the block at Westminster for many, many years. You've been to more of those press conferences than you can ever remember, I would imagine. But that day that Boris Johnson made that announcement, that's something you'd never heard before. A Prime Minister closing the country.
Well, that wasn't at a news conference. That was a TV broadcast, if you remember, 23rd of March last year. Actually, I mean, I remember in the early days of the COVID pandemic, yes, we went into Downing Street. I remember sitting in the front row at a few of them and asking questions of ministers. And I remember Chris Whitty. And also I remember one with Stephen Powers from, I think it's Public Health England. But of course, they soon became virtual. The journalists, it's all, you know in advance who's going to put questions and so on, because everything's virtual now. It's a bit like in the House of Commons. I mean, one of the big changes for us as political correspondents is the way Parliament's operating. Yep. You now get a call list. You know exactly the order that MPs are going to ask questions and speak in debates as well. Whereas previously the speaker just used to look around and say, "Oh right, I'll call so and so over there." As for the way we're all operating, well, I mean, I'm speaking to you from the radio studio at Sky News Westminster Bureau. Yep. Obviously, some Sky News colleagues have been working from home, but those of us who appear on screen and others are working more or less as normal, subject to very strict rules. We get our temperature taken when we arrive in the office. We're advised to take 2 tests a day, and of course, we got all the usual rules. We wear a mask. Here's my tartan mask. That's the Craig tartan.
There it is.
That's the one I have to wear in the office, apart from when I'm sitting at my desk. There's all sorts of rules, but of course the news doesn't stop, and we've all been we political correspondents, because there've been so many news conferences with either the Prime Minister, and he's expected to do one later today, or a minister like Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary. We've been very, very busy. There's been a blizzard of statistics coming. You mentioned a figure just now, Ian, of 126,000. If you look at what they call the COVID-related deaths, I'm just reading here. It says the new figures from the Office for National Statistics showed a total of 149,117 people, so just under 150,000 people have had COVID-19 recorded on their death certificate in the past year. So it's the figures are actually a bit higher. They're about 150,000. Yeah. It's terrible.
But of course, I was going to say, John, any subsequent inquiry to this is going to look into that. Inevitably, there's already controversy over how figures are compiled. And, you know, if you're hit by a car and you die but happen to have COVID, do you go down as one of those stats? I mean, I guess that, along with so many other elements of this story, it will mean inevitably that we talk about this, much like Brexit. We carry on talking about this for the next several years.
Well, at least Brexit hasn't killed anyone, as far as we know.
There is that. Well.
But no, the death toll is awful. And the UK death toll, I think I'm right in saying, is worse than other European countries. And even as the Prime Minister hopes he can lift lockdown measures over the next few months, there are still various problems. I mean, you'll have been reporting this week on the row with Brussels and over the vaccine supplies and so on. The Prime Minister talked yesterday about a threat of a third wave in Europe. And Matt Hancock has said, well, it's quite likely to come here at some point. We're not out of it yet. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm looking forward to the day when perhaps have a couple of friends round in the back garden. That's the 29th of March. Have a drink in a pub outdoors, 12th of April. Yep. Indoors, 17th of May. And then supposedly it's 21st of June when they lift the lockdown rules in England. But there's always the possibility that those could be pushed back if there is a third wave.
Yeah, that's true.
So
and
we're not out of it yet.
Yeah, he talked about data, not dates. And, the third wave discussion very much underway. Huge problems in France and Italy and Germany as well. With that, I guess Mr. Johnson will be banking on our successful vaccination programme in some respects, John, to not exactly armour plate us, but at least afford us some level of protection from what they're seeing on the continent.
Well, obviously, the roadmap, as he calls it, is tied very much to the vaccination programme. This week he's still insisting everybody will have had one jab by the end of July. Now, this week on Thursday, there's a vote in Parliament on the latest lockdown restrictions in England. Today, the Prime Minister's talking to his backbenchers via Zoom, I guess, and trying to persuade them not to rebel. I mean, there's the threat of a real rebellion on Thursday in that vote, because some Tory MPs are furious and want the lockdown restrictions, the easing of them or lifting of them, speeded up.
Indeed.
Because of the threat to business and so on. I mean, we haven't talked about the jobs toll. I think today it's right. We remember those who died, really, and the death toll. But there will be obviously questions about the economic cost of COVID as well.
Of course.
And that seems to be what concerning Conservative MPs, or some of them anyway.
But of course, Labour likely to or will vote with the government on that. So
they have in every vote so far. I mean, some Labour people, whether it's activists or MPs, think Sir Keir Starmer should have been a bit more critical and given the Prime Minister a harder time, and he's backed him every time. In the vote, certainly. And last week at Prime Minister's Questions, it was all very consensual between the PM and the Leader of the Opposition. Actually, I think that was more on the other issue of violence against women, actually. But there are those who think that Keir Starmer has been a bit soft on the Prime Minister over the past year. The vaccine programme, I don't know about you, I'm 63, so I had my first one on the 24th.
Get out of here, John. I didn't know you were 63. Man alive. The Westminster Village has been very kind to you. That's all I can say, John, in that respect. But what do you the vaccine thing is obviously...
We're all taking, as I said to you, we're taking tests twice a week at Sky News. We're asked to do that.
And I think there's going to be more and more of that. What's interesting, though, amidst this backdrop of some pretty disturbing statistics, as you've covered, John, Boris Johnson's own popularity, the popularity of the Conservative Party, does still seem to be riding rather high. So there's something about that isn't translating into too much of a problem when it comes to electoral intentions for the Prime Minister.
Well, as you know, there's this huge collection of elections on the 6th of May. There's nearly 40 million people have got a vote. Partly because a lot of the elections are ones that should have been held last year, like London Mayor and some of the other mayoral elections and local government elections and so on. So in the opinion polls, yes, the Tories doing pretty well. A vaccine bounce, it's been called. And Sir Keir Starmer acknowledged in an interview with Sky News last week that he acknowledged that the Tories were getting a vaccine bounce. Obviously, with elections, there's a lot of expectation management. All political parties say, we start from a low base. We've got a mountain to climb. That's a phrase Sir Keir Starmer uses. But those elections on the 6th of May, of course, are big elections, really, because you've got London Mayor, you've got the likes of Andy Burnham and Andy Street facing re-elections in Greater Manchester and the West Midlands. And of course, there's the elections in Scotland and Wales. Now, obviously, there are other factors in play in Scotland, as we've seen in the news over the past week or so. But big elections coming on the 6th of May.
Indeed. John, it's always good to catch up. Thank you. Jon Craig, who, of course, is chief political correspondent over there at Sky News, with us. An overview of where we've been and where we are currently at on the current situation. A year today, lockdown kicked in proper. What's it been like for you? How has your life changed in the last 12 months? I mean, this is genuinely intriguing kind of overview on British life. You know, we all nestle around our homes and we do our own thing and we try to earn a living and we go to work, we look after our families and stuff. There's a story in every one of those homes, right? And some of them will be challenging. Some of them will be quite uncomfortable stories. For others, curiously, conversely, there will be positivity out of this. Who knew? But some people would have made life-changing decisions, discovered actually that out of this madness of a lockdown, something rather good came out of it. You might have started a family and had the baby in that time, of course. We are a year down the line. How has life changed for you